What is up, all you ghosts and ghouls? You are tuned back into the Halloween Horror Pod. Your host this week is me, George Brandenburg. Happy to be back with you. And today we're taking it old school. We're going to be talking physical media, specifically VHS tapes. I've got a very special guest today, Mr. Josh Schaefer. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Well, I'm really stoked to have you on, and I think this is such a cool topic. Now, a big reason why they chose me to do this interview. Now, there are a bunch of us involved with the Halloween Horror Pod, which is involved with your business, essentially, when we'll get to that. But the reason that they chose me is because I am not a king of physical media, like, say, the titular Hallow Ian or yourself. So there's a lot that I can learn today, and I hope that you're ready to take that journey with me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like fun.
So I've been doing my research on you, and I heard this great interview you did with Matt McCarthy, which touched on a lot of things that we might typically touch on here, and I encourage everyone to listen to that. But the best I could do was ask you to recycle about half that interview, so I'm going to try to take a couple different angles here when we talk about VHS media, but I really do encourage people to check that out. But if we're going to start with anything, let's talk about Lunchmeat VHS. So I could sit here and I could tell everyone a Wikipedia definition of Lunchmeat VHS, but I think it'd be better if you told everyone what Lunchmeat is about. That is the magazine, the website, the industry of physical media that you have founded.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I started Lunchmeat, it was like 18 years ago with my friend Ted, and it was just a zine. You know, we just wanted to do a zine about movies on VHS because nobody was really talking about them at that time. And we just liked making stuff. I was doing a record label at the time. I was working at a record label at the time. And it was really about the movies, you know, and that they're only on tape. You know, we published the first issue and we got rid of like 200 of them. We're like, let's do another one. And just it kept growing from there. And eventually I started doing live shows in New York, showing movies up with a company named Horror Boobs. And then... you know, that continued to grow, doing live shows, doing tape swaps, things like that. And then I started putting out videotapes of movies, continuing the magazine, continuing other publications, and eventually, you know, I guess founding VHS Fest, which is the largest VHS festival in the country, as far as I know. So,
well, that is very exciting. Now, being a lifelong Alaskan, we never had zines as part of our culture. That was big city kid stuff. But that is pretty exciting. But before we get to the founding of the zine, there's something here I've been excited to talk with you about. I saw that you used to work for Relapse.
Yeah, that's where I met Ted. Yeah.
Yeah. So our connection there is, so I grew up in the metal scene. I'm a lifelong Alaskan, but we still had a thriving metal scene, and I've been pretty much living in mosh pits since I was 12 years old. And
sick.
Yeah, and I was just, you know, from that age, I was just going to underage clubs, taking elbows to the face, you know, going, seeing people smoking in the snow, eating pizza, you know, the good times. When I went to college, I discovered the college radio station, and they just said you can create any kind of show you want. So I created a metal show called The Wasteland, and because I was the only metal person in the entire state of Alaska, I got to work with a bunch of labels, and I ended up making very good connections with the people at Relapse around that time you were there, and that was just really exciting to hear about.
Were you talking to Dave Ehrlich?
Yeah, yes, I was. I was.
Oh, I missed Dave. Dude, his bands were awesome, dude.
Now, the one thing I can't remember were some of the big bands, because I know you left. Did you leave around 2004 or did you leave around 2008?
Eight.
Okay, so that was still one of my favorite periods in metal.
No. I think it was longer than that. I think I left around 2000.
Well, give me some of the bands that Relapse was working with at that time.
Well, Mastodon, famously.
Damn right they
Mastodon,
were.
You know, Dylan Driscoll Plan, Baroness was a big one for them for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, I have a good.
I mean, like I was into it for like Incantation and Agoraphobic Nosebleed and like Pig Destroyer, Dying Fetus, Suffo. You know, like I.
Oh, absolutely. I interviewed.
I love all those other bands too, but
I interviewed at least one member of half the bands you named, and that's so fun that all comes back around to this.
And that's where Lunchmeat started. So that's
yeah. So that's kind of what I was getting at is I have the impression that through your connections in the hardcore scene, that you influenced some art direction for the Lunchmeat magazine. Am I correct in believing that?
Yeah, I mean, I designed, early on, Ted and I designed everything, and I designed a lot of the stickers, and I still do all the design for Lunchmeat. So, I work with other illustrators and stuff. But yeah, I would say my art is highly influenced by horror and metal. So,
Yeah, I absolutely
100%.
get that
Yeah,
impression. It
yeah.
feels like it comes from someone who lived inside of the hardcore scene, and that definitely comes across. Now, you've told this story before, but if we're getting back to VHS tapes, I'd like it if you could tell us your story of your first VHS store experience. I found it very relatable.
Are you talking about the Ninja Turtle one?
I am.
Okay, so I went to my local store, Video Vision, and it was the celebration of Ninja Turtles coming out on tape. So I had to be like 5, right?
Right.
And Mikey was there, and I mean, like,
I mean, he was
it's a
there.
guy, he was there. Like, it's a dude in a
Yeah.
suit, but to a 5-year-old, that's a real Ninja Turtle.
Oh, it meant a lot
You know
to
what
me
I
when I
mean?
met Goofy, at Disney World.
Yeah.
Like, I get
Oh, I loved I loved hugging Goofy when I was a kid.
it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was, you felt like you were touching the infinite. Like, this is a cartoon character.
Touching the
You know what I
infinite,
mean?
that's perfect. Also a good metal song name.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I went to Video Vision. Mikey was there, and I remember being outside, and somehow there was like a circle, and people, somehow I got to do a nunchuck routine in front of him, right? And I mean, like, do you remember those plastic nunchucks, the ones you buy at like the flea market, or
I
like
think
the dirt
we
malls
even
or
had
whatever?
them. Yeah.
Yeah, like the plastic ones, and if they would like slap you, they're like styrofoam or whatever.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I went out there and I did my thing, and I did my thing, felt good, and then I smacked myself right in
If
the
there was
face with
anything 90s kids could hit each other with, I probably had it growing up.
oh yeah, right on. Yeah, so we all had the
That white
nunchucks,
Power Ranger
and
sword, the whole deal.
oh yeah, the one that like lit up and made sounds and
Yep,
everything,
had the
right?
lion head on it. Yeah.
Oh dude, yeah. So long story short, I'm out there doing my thing, with my nunchucks from Cowtown, and I was doing my thing. I smacked myself right in the face, dude.
Of course.
And
I did that at like 14 with a real pair of nunchucks that I got at some like flea
Oh,
market.
wow.
I thought if I did that today at 36, I'd probably kill myself how hard I hit myself with those nunchucks at 14.
oh man, dude, that's no joke.
Well, I wanted to tell you my first video store experience because I was born on a Kodiak Island in Alaska, which obviously doesn't have a huge, media market, but we still had a video store, and it was right on the docks by the water there. It's my corner store, and I remember it was like the early '90s, and my mom took me there, and everywhere I went, I just pace around. And this particular occasion, my like first big VHS store memory was they had an arcade machine in there, and it was my first time ever seeing Street Fighter 2, and it changed my life. One thing the listeners should know about me, and anyone in my life knows about me, is that I like with you VHSs and that with me, it's fighting games. I'm a walking encyclopedia, and that moment changed my entire life, even though it had nothing to do with VHS tapes. But it was still a very formative moment for me.
You had an arcade machine. You had an arcade machine in your video store.
Oh yeah, and in the middle of Kodiak, Alaska, in the early '90s of all things.
That kicks so much. Can I curse here?
Yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
kicks so
Oh
much-
yeah. Well, this show is primarily for kids, but fuck them, right?
Oh, well, that kicks
No.
ass that
Yeah.
you have an arcade machine in your video store.
I'll always appreciate that video store. But I was talking to my mom about it, and she had a very different memory of that store and talked about all their horribly predatory business practices because they were the only game in town for video rentals. So I want to know if that was a pretty common thing back in the day to predate on people with vicious late fees, with rental charges for that kind of stuff, back in the heyday of the market.
I mean, I would certainly hope not. I haven't heard too many stories about people like being vicious with their customers at video stores. I think like that, to me, that sounds like they were trying to just like barely hold on. And we're not doing it the right way.
That's what
you
I
know what I
thought.
mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think That stinks. That no, but I haven't heard any other stories like that. I
Well,
mean, I think I hear a lot of the opposite of that,
yeah,
to be
I thought
honest.
you'd find this interesting because it sounded so strange to me when she told me what they would say to their customers. And again, this is a rural island in Alaska. Again, there's no other options if you want movies. And
Right.
they were telling people that their movies were specifically like special cinema quality VHSs, so they had to charge more, and then if they didn't return them on time, the fees were exuberant. And I didn't know if you'd ever heard of anything like that, but it blew my mind when my mom told me when I told her about this conversation.
No,
Oh,
I've
that's
never heard anything
I'm really
like that
glad to
before.
hear that wasn't common practice. I think we'd have a lot less movie lovers if that were the case everywhere.
Yeah, that's a lie. I don't know what they're talking about. That's wild. What was the store? Was it an independent
It
store?
was an independent store. I couldn't tell you the name for the life of me. I was so young, but it wasn't a Blockbuster or anything. But Blockbuster has a long relationship in Alaska. You know the whole deal with Russell Crowe's underpants being in our store out here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we'll get to all that, but we should come back around to your career. We'll start again with the Lunchmeat zine, which you started in 2008, correct?
Believe so. Sounds
Sure.
about right.
And then how did that evolve into this industry where you're essentially helping to manufacture and ship physical VHSs?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was doing the zine and doing more shows and selling tapes that were, just like pre-recorded tapes, like, tapes from the video store or whatever that I've collected and had, I've had a bunch of tapes always. But I think it just really I started putting out tapes 15 years ago, I guess, and licensing them and putting them out in official collector kind of editions. I never really thought of them as a collector editions, but I was only doing 50 copies because I'm like one dude, you know.
And I'm
And
curious
I
how you
had
manufacture them. Like,
so
yeah.
I have colleagues that do the duplication for me, right? For a while I had one of my colleagues, Tyler, he was doing the duplication and putting them together and then sending them to a distribution. And that was kind of a weird stage because I was growing, but I missed doing it. Like I missed because I for a long time I would have a friend duplicate all the tapes for me. I would get the rights and then send the file to my colleague, friend of mine, and he would duplicate the tapes, and then he would send the raw tapes to me, and then I would get the tapes, and I'd order and all the stickers, and at that time I was doing clamshells, so I'd order all the clamshells and all the inserts, after designed everything, and get that shipped to me, and then the raw tapes would arrive to me, and then I'd put everything together, and then I would ship it out. And that's really how it started. Like I would
Yeah.
just making tapes and just putting them out, and it continues to grow. So, but I'm back doing everything again. I still have colleagues do the duplication because I just don't have the room for the all the VCRs that it takes. But I mean, I do everything else. I do all the rights, all the get the rights, do the artworks, order it, produce it, put it all together, ship it out.
And then in 2020, put out the book Stuck on VHS. Could you talk a little about that?
Sure. Teamed up with my friend Jackie Lawrence. He's a great photographer, great designer, great colleague. We also do home video horrors together. But we started Stuck on VHS. We had this idea for a book and collecting all of these video store stickers, like these little pieces of ephemera, like the actual video store name stickers or rewind stickers or price deals or handwritten. There was a lot of like micro information all over these rentals. And they sort of become part of their aesthetic, part of their history, and part of the way that people interacted with the videos. So we felt that it was, really interesting and important to archive these. So I went through my collection. We had a ton of great people give submissions, and then we just curated, over 1,000 video store stickers and stickers from videos, and just stuck on VHS. And that book came out through Birth Movie's Death. Very limited edition. I think it was 2,000 or less. So they went out of print very quickly. It's been out of print for about 5 years now. We did a couple magazine supplements for Stuck on VHS over the years. I think we did three. We did make come to an agreement with a really, really cool publishing label. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it yet, but it's one of my favorite publishing labels from when I was a kid. when I was a teenager, I was reading books, published by these people. So it's amazing, and Stuck on VHS will be coming back in a
Well, congratulations,
uh,
whoever it may be.
thanks, man.
Big
Yeah.
congrats.
Well, it's Fab Press. I'm sure they don't care.
So was
It's
this
Fab Press.
was this a project you decided to do because of the pandemic?
No, no, this was something that I saw. I did a lot of interviews and coverage on the website, the Lunchmeat website, for many, many years. I was very active on there for, there's hundreds of blog entries on there. And at one point, I interviewed a gentleman, and he had this little zine stickers, and I think this is cool. And I was like, man, this is a great idea. And he only did the one zine, and I got his blessing. I said, I think this will make a great book. He's like, yeah, go for it.
No, tight.
Yeah, so I mean, like there was like pictures of like full tape covers, but it was because of the stickers on them. And it kind of like just jolted me, and I was like, man, this is really, really cool. And I give him a thanks in the book and everything. But I mean, it's
And I do want to talk, what we love about movies and everything, but VHSs specifically. So before we talk about what makes physical media so special, I'm curious why specifically VHS tapes and not DVDs or Blu-rays like I tend to collect.
like for me, like my
Yeah.
personal,
Oh,
why my
yes, yes.
taste. I grew up on VHS tapes. I've never really stopped collecting VHS tapes. Like I never really got rid of the ones from when I was a kid. I've always loved movies, and when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, like I could find really weird, cool movies on VHS tape for like next to nothing, like a quarter,
Yeah.
or like five for $1, or people treated them like literal garbage. So,
Oh, yeah. No,
uh,
absolutely. And especially after a
yeah,
certain point. And I feel
yeah, I
like
think this
this
is like in
VHS
2000. Yeah.
I feel like this VHS resurgence is going to be great for garage sales that have a bunch of backed up VHSs that people are just going to want to be all over for that 50 cents for 5 kind of deal that they can probably get this next summer. I know that prepping for this conversation has made me excited for that. As far as
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, as far as being able to watch VHSs in the modern age, though, I'm wondering if you can recommend a place to go to get that technology, or if you just have to rely on garage sales and luck if you think it's more financially appropriate. What would be your recommendation on how someone could get started on diving back into this VHS resurgence?
I mean, I would just ask some of your family members if you have that. Ask
That's
some,
a good idea.
start there. Ask them if it's in somebody's basement or something. Just ask around.
So you really do, so
Um,
there's really not any like company that's at the forefront of manufacturing new VHS players that are affordable or easy to obtain. It's still like so niche that you'd have to spend an arm and a leg to get a new functioning one.
no, there's a company called Retrobox that's doing new. They have LCD screen like VCRs, but it's more power to them. It's just the price point is very difficult on
Yeah,
those. Manufacturing new VCRs, I think it's more viable to find,
older ones and just
um,
repurpose
just
them.
just new old stock. There's a shipping container somewhere in the world with like 1,000 new VCRs in it. Who knows where it is. So I mean, but to answer your question directly, man, I mean, ask around, look on Facebook Marketplace, look around at thrift shops, things like that. Can buy them online, obviously.
Yeah.
Look around.
Well, and that brings me to a good point about this sort of, I guess you can still call it a niche market, is that the price point of being an active member can be pretty tough to get over. And that is a real shame. But I assume you would agree with me that it's same with the vinyl resurgence. We kind of got into that for a while, but it just became impossible to keep up with as a regular thing. And I wish that the VHS market were more easy to get into now than it was in 2007.
I don't look at it as a market. I look at it as a culture, and I think the problem is a lot of people look at it as a market.
Mm.
So the thing is when you're saying it's hard to get into, I mean, you can find a working VCR for 40, $50.
Oh, for sure.
Like and then you watch a video online. It's very easy to clean the inside of later gen VCR. It's super simple. It's a little intimidating at first, of course. Just unplug it out of the wall, take the top off, and it's very easy to clean. You'd be surprised how much it improves it. But going back to the market versus culture, I mean, like that's the thing is like there's people that want particular tapes. And if there is a particular want around a tape, yeah, it's going to be more
I guess
expensive.
that's what I mean is I can find 100 copies of Clear and Present Danger all around the place from everyone's old, collection. But let's say we want to find a Troma classic, then you're looking at having a harder time.
Right, because people want it, and like that's the thing. But like, see, with me, I love all tapes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like going out. Like my favorite thing about VHS collecting is going out and looking through tapes or finding a batch of tapes or like being in this moment where you're like just you're in front of like 100 tapes and you get to go through them and look at them and things like that.
Where do you
And
do that? I
I,
guess this also is a good excuse to ask people where you are in the world and kind of let them know where, what's up with you.
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina at the moment. I was born in South Jersey and lived in Philly for a long time. So I've done, hunting all over. But I mean, like today, for instance, before I got on the phone with you, I drove about 25 minutes and this guy had two buckets of VHS tapes
Oh, wow.
in his garage and they were $30. I think there's about 100 tapes there. So later I'll just go through all of them and there's some cool stuff on the top. There's like the Wicker Man and vice versa, and things like that. And it's a similar feeling of just it's kind of like treasure hunting, and seeing what you pull out of it. I think that's really fun. Targeting tapes is going to be very expensive,
Yeah.
because we're deep into the culture now. Like I said, I've been doing meat since, oh God, like 18 years or something. You know what I mean? So it's been a very long time, and the culture changed, and it's popular, and VHS is almost back into the zeitgeist of now. You know what I mean? And people have.
Just gonna say, what do you think is the holy grail of VHS purchases? Is there one? I mean, no one would know better than you if there's like one of those that's like the rare Charizard of Pokemon cards of VHS tapes.
You mean for like horror?
Oh,
Horror
well, I
movie?
mean, just any. I love movies in general. I know we're a horror podcast, but if there's any specific one of any genre that is like the Cadillac of, or the Moby Dick.
It's funny you say Cadillac because it's Cars on
What
Disney.
on
I
VH
think,
the VHS copy of Cars?
dude, that it was for so much money. It's insane.
No, well, like how much? Like roundabout.
Thousands,
That's crazy.
bro. It's insane because it's like it's Disney collectors first and foremost. Okay, it's VHS, which is iconic inside of
Oh,
the
that's
Disney world.
right.
Well, the reason, when I've researched this, obviously, because it's a phenomenon inside of the VHS culture, and I personally know someone who sold it for $3,000.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
not a fluke. It's not the Black Diamond scheme where they're funneling money or laundering money through it or whatever. Going back to that BuzzFeed article
Yeah,
that
it's
like
just
fed
what
a bunch.
people wanted.
Yeah,
That's what it goes for.
yeah. I mean, and it's because it's one of the last videos issued by Disney, and I think it was mail order only. So people, it's kind of like the last gasp for VHS and Disney VHS. So I think that's why people want it, and there are less numbers of it because it was distributed in a much smaller fashion that Disney usually used.
Well, that's cool. I never would have guessed that. Did you have an answer as far as horror is regarded?
Horror is a slippery slope, man. I think horror tapes are the ones that go for a lot of money most of the time. I
I
think a
could
lot of
see
people
that.
want horror video, and I think like there are really coveted videos, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think sometimes they fall into like the right now is like original shot on video underground stuff. And then there's also like people pay a lot of money for Terror Vision. People pay a lot of
Hmm.
money for Blood Harvest, things like that. I
That
don't want
makes
to drop
sense.
names and be like, now and make fucking you know prices skyrocket or something. I just like it's like
Yeah. Oh, I wish we were that influential, but that's very complimentary of you. I'll take it.
yeah.
Well, speaking of horror and VHS, when you did your interview on VHS tapes are magic with Matt McCarthy, you guys had a great discussion
Mhm.
about horror. And so I encourage people to go back and listen to that. I don't want you to retread everything you said about Pennywise, but I did want to talk to you about that experience of walking through the video store, the grocery store that had videos, and just looking at those horror titles, because that really stuck with me. Even though I never saw any of them, I'd really freak myself out with those. I'm wondering if you had that same experience.
Yeah, yeah, I sure did. I mean, that's why I liked horror movies when I was younger. They scared me and it was fun. You know what I mean? And dude, I was afraid of zombies because of Tarman. I think solely because of
Yeah,
Tarman and
from
Return of the
Return of
Living
the
Dead.
Living Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, so solely because of that movie, I was terrified of zombies until I
Um,
saw that movie when I was like 6 or 7,
I didn't.
5.
Yeah, that's too early, man. When I was thinking about this and I was going to talk to you about this, I was trying to think of what ones really freaked me out, and I realized that it was Shin level horror that really freaked me out because it was Chucky, it was Leprechaun, and my aunt had this big collection of creepy porcelain dolls that scared the hell out of me, and I
No,
think
that
it's
doesn't
just
help.
no, I think it was just tiny terror that really got me on those box arts back in the day, but I hadn't really thought of it until today.
Yeah, I mean it's a great that's a great memory, and that's a great like timeline. So
But another thing I wanted to talk with you about is you would mention that, and I agree with you here. I think you're definitely going to meet me on this. That as fun as monsters are, and like the Michael Myers or the Jason of it all, that there's nothing scarier than that like eternal horror or that cosmic horror where they can like teleport you to another dimension or anything. If we take all the classic horror movies, I think the thing that the concept that scares me the most is Hellraiser. No, thank you. Just wanted to know if you had some examples of that type of cosmic horror that you'd want to point to as being some of the best of what really scares you,
as far as cosmic horror,
or just any kind of,
uh,
or just that that existential
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
horror.
well,
Yeah.
that's what, yeah, existential for sure. I mean, The Tenant
Mm,
is one that people don't talk about very much. That one's terrifying. Jacob's Ladder is absolutely terrifying.
yeah.
I think that when you come to existential horror, I think Jacob's Ladder is very, very high up there for me. I would say The Cell is underrated.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
The Cell is magnificent. I love that movie. It's terrifying and kind of whimsical, and it's beautifully shot, and the production on it is incredible, is crazy.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Big ups on the cell.
go
My
ahead.
favorite form of horror media, and there's not that many great examples, unfortunately, at least that I've seen, and you've already named a couple, but on that vein, I'm not religious, but hell still terrifies me, and any hell media is an easy sell in my book. So anything that even kind of resembles that, I'm always going to go for, and I have a physical copy of almost everything I found that sort of resembles that.
Oh, being stuck in hell.
Yeah, or the threat of like a sort of space, like say Event Horizon, Hellraiser, The Cell, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my jam there.
Did you see the what's the house that Jack built? Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't. I've been meaning to.
Dude, you'd love that. You'd
Oh,
have
I
to
bet.
watch
Oh,
it.
hang on. I'm writing it down right now.
Especially because when the themes that you're talking about are, I saw that in the theater when it came out. It was pretty good.
And I know that we're talking VHS. This has, nothing to do with that, but this is a horror podcast, and I've having the opportunity at this moment, since we're talking Hell Media, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell everyone they need to read the book Between Two Fires by Christopher Beelman. That thing is fucking awesome.
I'll write that down. Yeah, cool, cool.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of too cool for school, when I talk to people that have a very specific interest, especially in something physical and collectible, I'm always curious about the space they keep around themselves. Do you have a pretty cool movie den or collectible den with bookshelves full of stuff, or you know what I mean?
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I definitely have a tape room. I have a whole tape in my house that's dedicated to tape.
That brings me to my next question. What is your personal favorite, and not just your favorite movie, but like the favorite VHS that you have, or just one you're the most proud to have in your collection?
Mm. Okay, so this is it would be the tapes that I had when I was a kid. I always have to put that out. Like those are the most special tapes to me, you know,
Yeah.
because they're one of ones in my life. Talk about existential. But if I had to pick one, this is really tough because I've been given tapes by close friends, things like that. So my signed copy of Video Violence means a lot. My sealed copy of America's Deadliest Home Video from director Jack Perez means a lot. But I have a sealed copy of You on Kazoo with the kazoo still with it,
I
and
have
it was a
no idea what
gift.
that is.
Oh, so there, You on Kazoo, it's like that Kazoo Kid meme. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
yeah.
It's a it's a you and Kazoo like video,
Oh, that's
you know, from
hilarious.
from dude, it's just like the most 90s. It's just an incredible piece. It makes me laugh and smile every time I think about it. So it's like a video you on Kazoo, and Kazoo Kid meme got, like fun. I don't, some people remember it, some people don't, but it's the VHS tape based off that, and it has the Kazoo sealed with it. It's insane.
That's pretty tight, man. I've got some fun stuff like that. So I've got some physical collections myself. I wouldn't call myself a collector, but I do love when I can get my hands on some things that are important to me. Most of them are fighting game related, and I have one. I bought two copies because I wanted to keep one sealed and I wanted to open one. There's a fighting game called Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and it comes with a blow up like teddy bear thing who's like a character in the game, and I've had
Hmm.
the same blow up teddy bear in my laundry room that stayed with the same air that I filled it with for about 12 years now, and it's still one of my favorite physical things, and I keep a sealed copy on the shelf. It's like the most insane thing I keep, but I love it.
That's pretty impressive. That's a nice product. That is. I'm not really familiar with like the fighting game culture, but I mean, I love Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate, and I
Oh
love
yeah.
Mortal Kombat in general. And I used to play Pit Fighter. I get
Oh
it.
god, Pit Fighter is famously like the worst game ever made.
It is, right? It's like the worst fighting game, dude.
Oh, there's
It's
three
like
characters, there's no ending, and there's like two buttons, and then it's over.
it's just like punch kick, punch kick, punch kick.
Yeah, no, I like
But I played it, dude, because I rented it, and like that's the game you
oh, those are the
rented, so you
kind of
better play
games
it.
that my family would get me because they knew I loved. My family, they only knew what they knew. So, like, every Christmas, I'd get, like, Trashware WCW 95 on the Game Boy and, like, things like that. And never, like, any of the good stuff. But I'm able to review a lot of the stuff I wasn't able to play in my childhood these days. I don't know. There's something that feels disingenuous about quote unquote owning a digital product, I guess. I feel like it can be taken away at any time, and there's like a sense of agency with your physical property, if you'd agree with me there.
Yeah, of course. I think that's why I have all the movies I have on tape, because I like to have a library. I don't know, I'm really big on context, with film, and, where this came from and what year it came out and who directed it.
Yeah.
And, just that kind of stuff really fascinates me when it comes to movies. Kind of adds to the experience for me. Yeah, I mean, I think it's these VHS tapes bring me happiness, Like I like having them. I like being able to watch Dark Room whenever I want. I like being able to watch, Texas Chainsaw whenever I want, and it's not like I have to log into somebody's platform that I pay for. It might not be there. What if their server's down? Like you said, it's complete
Right.
autonomy, with the media that you consume. And I think as the world turns and we continue to look at how things are changing, I think having autonomy with your media, choose to explore and experience, is going to be highly important, moving forward.
Are there any other forms of physical media that you like to collect?
Books. I really love
You have a
books.
particular genre?
I like anthologies. I like horror, mystery, sci-fi, fantasy from, all over, but mainly like, I guess from like the 20s to, the 80s, 90s. But mainly I really like a lot of the mystery stuff from the 50s and 60s. I like a lot of pulp stuff, horror pulp. I love science fiction from the 50s and 60s. I think that's my favorite stuff. This like turning, this atom age, all of these big ideas and this unknowingness, and like all of this like, future frontier stuff. And there was a lot of wisdom and a lot of warnings and great things happening in the minds of writers at that time.
Yeah, it
A
was a
lot of
big
original thoughts.
big boom for sci-fi, cosmic horror, the whole like weird thought come to life.
Yeah,
Was a wonderful
exactly.
age for
Yeah.
that. So that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. And when you're distributing tapes, I want to get back to that. And again, you
Hmm.
can't buy mine because they're sold out. Just that popular. But um, how do you go about acquiring licenses to do that kind of stuff with brands, especially titles that old? That you distribute some of the times.
You just find whoever holds the rights. So basically, I
Shake
I
them
don't even
down
answer
and
the question. Yeah, I mean, basically, like it's I work with a lot of independent artists like you guys, and I work with, independent directors and smaller labels, and you just I've always tried to do. I think the first three or four of my releases were like gray area, or like I didn't really know what I was doing, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna let this film, I'm gonna put it out, and I'm gonna do it with, do it right. I mean, but you just find where the rights are, figure out who is distributing the film, who is handling the film, who owns it, and then you approach them with what you want to do, and then you just come to an agreement. And
I'm sure a lot of those that those people, especially with those older titles, would be more than stoked to have a revival of it. So that makes sense.
yeah, there's a lot of joy there.
A
There's a
lot of
lot of
joy. I like that.
and fun, and when I work with older films, everybody's, like Tim Ritter is great. They get excited, everybody gets excited.
That's awesome.
Everybody gets excited when their movie comes out. You know what I mean? And I've been very lucky to work with a lot of great artists, and I'm very lucky to, just continue to do what I do.
Any big releases coming up we should be looking forward to?
Something a little different is coming up. Lunchmeat will be releasing an original novel, which I think is going to be different and fun. It's still in the VHS video store world, of course. Rob Fries, who is one of our writers, and he just did Spandexorcist. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I've never heard of that. No.
He was doing adaptation. He did adaptations for Splatter University and Brett Kelly's Galaxy Warriors. He's a great writer and he's a great friend. He's done articles for us for a while, and he came to me and Lunchmeat and said, I have this idea. I have this novel that I want you to read, see if you want to publish it. And it's fantastic. It's like this 80s comedy that never existed, in a book. So it's about two warring video stores, and it's the classic like hometown, video store versus the big corporation with an eccentric and wacky and fun group of a cast of characters
That
within
sounds
these
like a
two
blast and right
video
up your
stores.
alley. That's great.
No, for sure, and it makes a lot of sense, and it is in the style of like how Meatballs is done, or how, Nerds or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
that 80s, and there's a lot of nods to video store, like the Ghoulies inflatable toilet is mentioned. You know what I mean? So it's like it's stuff like that. And there's a soundtrack to it, unofficial, of course, but like we mentioned songs that he's listening to. It's a really great story, and it's irreverent and funny, and it's like I said, it's like the 80s movie that you thought would exist but never did.
I'm stoked to find out about that. And when we pitch your socials, everyone's gonna be able to follow up on that. Just out of pure curiosity, I had a couple more questions for you. I know what mine is. I was wondering what yours is. A piece of physical media that you were never able to get your hands on or have not yet been able to acquire. That is essentially your Moby Dick or White Whale.
It's a great
And
question.
unless you've collected everything you could ever want, in that case, congratulations.
All right, so I collect a label specifically called Star Classics. Okay. And I have about 360 plus titles from them. And I have,
Wow.
you know, evidence of more. Um, but there are some of them that were only released in Canada or only distributed in Canada.
Haven't been able to get your hands
And,
on any of them?
straight, the illustrated version of Straight Jacket Classics is one of the tapes that I really want to own, just because it's been so elusive. And the coolest thing about it is like I've been collecting this label for a very long time, over I guess like a decade. I don't know, something crazy. And I didn't even know that this tape existed until about a couple years ago. So that's kind of the excitement and the happiness and the joy that I'm talking about when you collect something. You're like, wow, there's this piece of the puzzle that, and Straight Jacket's a cool movie, but it's the fact that it's a Star Classics that I did not know existed and that I found, and I was like, man. And I mean, like, it's just, it's a rare tape, and it's cool to just see that it exists. And now I'm trying to get after.
For me, it's a Dreamcast game. If you remember the Dreamcast from the 90s,
You
Yep.
know I do.
Yep, it's the game JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which was a fighting game based off the popular anime series, manga series at that time. It's that and one called Capcom versus Tatsunoko on the Wii that I was never able to get my hands on, and now they are far beyond my price range. And that's just for unsealed copies. If you want a sealed copy of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you gotta be rich, comparatively. So that's one of the mountains I'm looking to climb. But just such a basic dude when it comes to my movie knowledge. Like, I love movies. I feel like I know everything about movies until I talk to the specialists that work in and around the Halloween Horror Hour, and then I realize I don't know anything. But that's why I'm glad I can talk to you guys about it and learn so much more.
Well, I mean, there's always so much to learn, dude.
There is. And then I wanted to ask you if you have a favorite trauma movie.
Trauma movie? Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
100%.
Hey, you had a definitive answer. Mine is such a basic B answer in the Toxic Avenger, but I just...
Toxic Avenger rules, dude. That
Toxic
movie is
Avenger
crazy.
does rule. Well, I
It's
remember
iconic.
back in the day, again, back on Kodiak, my friend's parents had all the premium channels with the late night content. Besides that stuff, we'd also try to find all like the gory horror movies we could that would air late at night on some of the weird channels. And one night we caught the Toxic Avenger from the beginning. And I mean, we were just screaming. I've never seen anything like it. I'll always appreciate it. And when I think of the aesthetic of Lunchmeat and just VHS culture, Trauma and the Toxic Avenger is like the first thing that come to mind for me.
I'll take that as a giant compliment. Thank you.
No problem. That's exactly what it was intended as. So as we wrap up here, you got the website, the magazine still coming out. So what is the best way for people to find Lunchmeat, to learn about what you do, to get involved in the world of VHS through the Lunchmeat perspective?
Lunchmeatvhs.com. Lunchmeat VHS. Just look up Lunchmeat VHS. It'll all come up. That's our handle. But I mean, for the VHS world, just dig in, and talk about movies. Grab stuff you like on tape. Watch it. It's fun. It's about watching the tapes. It's about looking for that stuff. And I think that's the thing about collecting and the culture that I still will champion to this day is there's a great connection inside the community. A lot of art and tape swaps and things happen, but it's really about having fun watching the movies and getting the tapes and there's no better feeling than like going out and finding like a stack of tapes and then picking up a pizza and coming home and just going through them and watching it. It's like the closest thing. If you don't have a video store around you, it's kind of the closest thing to it.
I did want to ask about some of the markets. I've got a list of places in Seattle that sell Lunchmeat VHS. I'm assuming both the tapes and the magazine. We've got a Tomb of Treasure, Scarecrow Video. But if you wanted to shout out a couple other distributors that are selling your magazine, your physical tapes, please take this opportunity to do so.
Yeah, man. The VHS store in Virginia Beach, I believe he's in Virginia Beach. Whammy, big shout outs to Whammy out in LA. They do their thing. Static Tape in Muskegon, definitely doing their thing. Videodrome doing their thing. Goblin House doing their thing. I don't know, man. I love a lot of people.
Nope.
I've met a lot of great. I met a lot of great people, a lot of great artists. And there's just too many to mention, man. Those are just the ones on the top of my head.
And isn't that a beautiful thing?
It is, man. It makes it great.
Well, Josh Schaefer, I appreciate you keeping the art of VHS alive and well. Oh, and I guess I should ask, on my way out, you mentioned you have a taping room. What system do you use? What are you watching your VHSs on?
Oh, I have a Daewoo. In my tape room, I have a Daewoo VCR TV combo.
I'm assuming it's like the Bugattis of VHS TV combos?
Nah, man, it's just a regular old Volvo, bro. It's still running. It's good.
It's still running and it's just fine.
It's a Ford Focus, dude. It's fine.
Oh, I'm so happy we could diss on Volvo and Ford on our way out of here. That's so funny.
I don't know, dude. I'm not a car person.
No, me neither.
but no, it works just fine. And you gotta love the TV VCR combos.
You got a head cleaner recommendation?
Maxell.
Hey, nice.
Maxell and Scotch are the two brands that I would recommend. Trisonic is a little booty, if you ask me, but I mean they're out there.
Well, they are our
Um,
only sponsor, so thanks for that. I'm just kidding.
no, well, I'm
I'm
sorry,
just kidding.
Trisonic. I do love your manual hand rewinder.
I get that all the time. Now, if people want to, I don't know. If people want to find you on the socials, do they look under Josh Schaefer? Or do they look under Lunch Meat? What would you recommend?
Oh no. There's I don't have socials. It's
Me
Lunchmeat
neither.
VHS. Yeah, yeah. It's Lunchmeat VHS. I mean, I do. It's my label. It's my publishing label. It's what I do. But
Well,
Lunchmeat VHS.
well, excellent. Josh Schaefer, I appreciate your time today, and we're happy to have you a part of the Halloween Horror Hour story and family.
Thank you.
Please look them up wherever you can. Support the art of physical media. It's just great to hear from you guys again. We'll see you next week on the Halloween Horror Pod, an extension of the Halloween Horror Hour, which you can see on Tubi, Plex, and the Roku channel, and all seasons available on YouTube. And it features me as Discount Dracula, so enjoy that. Thank you again, Josh Schaefer, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.